Greetings YouTube. Today let's talk about the medieval Christianity believed in flat earth. Various cultures have had conceptions of a flat earth, including ancient Babylon, Egypt, pre-classical Greece and pre-17th century China. The modern incorrect belief that medieval Christianity believed in a flat earth has been referred to as the myth of the flat earth. In 1945, it was listed by the Historical Association of Britain as the second of 20 in a pamphlet on common errors in history. Recent scholarship, particularly since the 1990s, has shown that with extraordinarily few exceptions no educated person in the history of Western civilization from the 3rd century BC onward believed that the earth was flat, and that the prevailing view was of a spherical earth. Jeffrey Russell states that the modern view that people of the Middle Ages believed that the earth was flat is said to have entered the popular imagination in the 19th century, thanks largely to the publication of Washington Irving's fantasy The Life and Voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1828. 1. Although these writers reject the idea of a flat earth, others such as the Flat Earth Society accept or promote the hypothesis. The hypothesis of a flat earth has long been contradicted by overwhelming evidence as well as by the modern understanding of planet formation and physics, and the scientific community now dismisses the notion as fantasy. The common misconception that people before the age of exploration believed that Earth was flat entered the popular imagination after Washington Irving's publication of The Life and Voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1828. This belief is even repeated in some widely read textbooks. Previous editions of Thomas Bailey's The American Pageant stated that the superstitious sailors of Columbus' crew grew increasingly mutinous because they were fearful of sailing over the edge of the world. However, no such historical account is known. Actually, sailors were probably among the first to know of the curvature of Earth from everyday observations, for example seeing how mountains vanish below the horizon on sailing far from shore. Irving builds his story of the 1486 Salamanca meeting around the issue of the sphericity of the Earth. He presents some of the arguments against the sphericity, based on the impossibility that there be unredeemed or unredeemable humans on the opposite side. 60. However, he also admits that other learned scholars of the day accepted the sphericity of the Earth. In reality, the issue in the 1490s was not the shape, but the size of the Earth, as well as the position of the east coast of Asia. Historical estimates from Ptolemy onwards place the coast of Asia about 180 degrees east of the Canary Islands. 62. The actual value is slightly short of 140. Columbus adopted an earlier, and rejected, distance of 225 degrees, added 28 degrees, based on Marco Polo's travels, and then placed Japan another 30 degrees further east. Starting from Cape St. Vincent in Portugal, Columbus made Eurasia stretch 283 degrees to the east, leaving the Atlantic as only 77 degrees wide. Since he planned to leave from the Canaries, 9 degrees further west, his trip to Japan would only have to cover 68 degrees of longitude. Furthermore, Columbus mistakenly used a much shorter length for a degree. He substituted the shorter 1480 meters Italian mile for the longer 2177 meters Arabic mile, making his degree, and the circumference of the Earth, about 75% of what it really was. The combined effect of these mistakes was that Columbus estimated the distance to Japan to be only about 5,000 kilometers, or only to the eastern edge of the Caribbean, while the true figure is about 20,000 kilometers. Portuguese and Spanish scholars may not have known the exact distance to the east coast of Asia, but they certainly knew that it was significantly farther than Columbus' projection, and this was the basis of the criticism in Portugal and Spain, whether academic or amongst mariners, of the proposed voyage. The disputed point, therefore, was not the shape of the Earth, nor the idea that going west would eventually lead to Japan and China, but the ability of European ships to sail that far across open seas. The small ships of the day, Columbus' 3 ships varied between 20.5 and 23.5 meters, or 67 to 77 feet, in length and carried about 90 men, simply could not carry enough food and water to reach Japan. In fact, the ships barely reached the eastern Caribbean islands. Already the crews were mutinous, not because of some fear of sailing off the edge, but because they were running out of food and water, with the possibility that there were no new supplies within sailing distance. They were on the edge of starvation. What saved Columbus, of course, was the unknown existence of the Americas precisely at the point he thought he would reach Japan. His ability to resupply with water and food from the Caribbean islands allowed him to return safely to Europe. The academics were right. It was not possible for a 1492 ship to sail west from Europe across open oceans directly to Japan. Mariners would have died long before they reached their destination.